Welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Our Code podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that we ourselves have lived for most of our lives, which is the Good Girl program. This is a program passed down from generations to generations, woven into our upbringing so seamlessly that we didn't even realize it was there. But what is a Good Girl program? At its core, it's a way to suppress women, to keep us asleep to our own power, and to ultimately deny the divinity that lives within us. And today I'm here with Divi.
Hi, Lou.
Hello. How are you feeling about this one?
You know, it was a topic that when I started preparing for it and writing my notes, it started feeling heavy emotionally because I had to see certain parts of my inner child. I had to tap into that side and see the program and kind of revisit those areas. And I had to feel some emotions as I was writing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, of course, it's a topic that I know and I worked on and I continue to till this day, but just revisiting really touched some parts of me that were emotional. Yeah, for sure.
Like something felt like suppressed. Like I was like, I feel like when I did that, I feel like I realized that there's parts of me that are still till this day feeling like I'm suppressing.
Yeah, it's like I could see, first of all, like my inner child, the identity of why she became that, then my current self, then the mother in me, then my daughters, and then it was just like everything playing out once. So I was like, oh yeah, there's definitely work still to be done. I feel like it's a program so deeply ingrained, and it's a program that's it just rides in the subconscious so quietly, but it's very, very strong.
Yeah.
And so visiting and kind of like going there, it really was touching some areas for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel like for me it was kind of, I don't think it was just ingrained in my childhood or through my upbringing with my parents or my mom, but did you see yourself realizing how this Good Girl program is not only coming from our like childhood, but it's also from like society?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a thing that it's actually a program that till this day is being sold to us and to our daughters for sure.
I think I've heard recently. No, I don't think I know. I've recently heard someone say something like, "I just want, my family member just to find a good girl. Why can't he just find a good girl?" And I just realized I wanted to ask this person right then and there, what does that even mean to you? Because I think she was saying something about the way that the people that he had been dating, the girls that he like, they either are too needy or they're asking for too much or they too loud or whatever the case. I can't really remember what it was, but when she said, why can't he just find a good girl, just like a good girl? And I'm like, I wanted to ask her, what does that mean to you? But then sometimes, you just don't want to. There's certain people that you can ask those questions and go down that road with that conversation. But then there's others, and you're like, why even?
Like, why even waste the energy?
Yeah, energy, and I don't even want to make it, and so, but it made me preparing for this made me realize that conversation that till this day, there's still people saying, why can't you just be a good girl?
Yeah, it's everywhere. Even like as I was earlier today before we got here, I was in the truck with my husband and he was playing a song, and it's a country song that says, "You make it easy to love you. Everything you do is easy to love you." And I was paying attention like to the lyrics, and I'm like, why would anyone make it easy to be, you know what I'm saying is they're praising the fact that the woman makes it so easy. Everything's so easy to love you, right? And it was like, because we were on the topic and it was on my mind, I was like, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's being sold everywhere, not just in society, schools, songs, everything. It's everywhere, right? So with that, I did want to touch on what, like, the definition I found online about what the good girl is. And it says that the Good Girl Program is a set of unspoken rules that trains women to please, obey, and stay small at the cost of their truth, their power, and their voice. It teaches women to trade their voice for approval and their power for acceptance. And this is a program that starts not with us, of course, because it was a program that's been passed down from generation to generation, and now it's in this generation, right? And how were we taught as children to be a good girl, right? Where did it begin and how did it begin for us, right? Obviously, what we share is like our own journey. And for me, at least, I feel like it started at a very young age. I understood that if I obeyed, followed rules, never made mistakes, never talked back, and never behaved bad, I was a good girl. I remember that being clearly something like a foundation, right? So this was my foundation, my identity as a girl, as a young girl. And not following this meant that, for me, it meant that I was in danger if I didn't follow it, because there was consequences to me not following this foundation, right? Either I would be verbally abused or physically abused by my parents if I didn't follow what I was told to follow, and if I didn't obey the way I was being asked to obey, right? And I always felt like there was never room to be me, because my daily goal was to be a good girl every single day, every day, right? Just to be perfect so that others can approve of me and see that I am good. So now looking back, I only felt safe if I was a good girl, right? If I woke up and did the good girl duties, then I was safe. Nothing would happen to me. But if I stepped out of those lines of what a quote unquote good girl was for my parents, then there was going to be consequences, right? So it's almost like you stay in the perimeter of what you're allowed to be at that time, right? What do you feel like for you?
I think that it's very similar. I don't really remember. I think it was mainly for me, it was more like, be quiet. Like, we don't really need to hear what you have to say, or whatever I had to say is not important. It's not, just stay quiet. Respect your elders. Anybody older than you is above you, and you don't question, you don't ask, there's just nothing. You just respect them, and whatever they say is just what it is. Don't talk back. Keep your thoughts, your opinions, your emotions, your anything to yourself. We don't want to hear them. It doesn't matter, like, what, and I just remember, like, growing up, I don't think anyone really asked, like, for my opinion, or no one doesn't really matter what I had to say. So it just kind of felt a little weird, because I remember being like maybe a preteen or a teen, and I remember sitting down at my going to my aunt's house, or my uncle and my aunt and uncle's house, and I was in that stage where I was like not little, where I could run around with the little kids, but I was not old where I can like hang out with the older kids. And so I kind of felt like, okay, I don't know what to do right now. So I sat on the table with when my parents were talking and my aunt and uncles were talking. So I kind of sat there with them, and then I was listening to what they're saying, and I was obviously like just being nosy and being like, what? Like laughing, and and I wanted to talk so bad. Like, I wanted to share my whatever I was feeling with conversation. I wanted to be a part of the conversation so bad, but I kept telling myself, like, no, like, you don't speak. keep your mouth shut. Like no one needs to hear you, and your opinion doesn't matter. And so I remember thinking at that time, like, so when do I get to speak? Like, when do I matter? Like, at what point, at what age do I get to say how I feel? And I can, without feeling shame or nothing, or without like stepping out of my boundaries. So I remember having that feeling, and that probably feeling went with me for a really long time, maybe as a teenager. But it wasn't really like, we're talking about the good girls, that we're talking about like you said, everything said, you be polite, you be nice, you smile, you just go along, you don't question, don't stir shit up, like, just, you know what I mean? Just keep going and show your best, and like, and be nice, and just stuff like that, where it's like basically whoever I was, it didn't freaking matter. Because it's not what we care about. Nobody cares about that. You need to just follow these lines. And so I think for me, it kind of put me in a place where I didn't know at what point I was going to be important. And that kind of stuck with me for a long time, right? Like, I think as a teenager, when I went from having questions about, okay, I'm just going to stay quiet and never say nothing because what I say doesn't matter. Then I went to a teenager phase where I think all those suppressed emotions were starting to build up into anger, because I wanted to say something, because I wanted to speak, because I wanted to be heard. And because I knew I couldn't, or I felt like I couldn't, I started feeling anger, right? So I think anger kicked in, and being told I couldn't say things out of when I felt like there's things that were being unjust, where I felt like there's things that were happening in the family that I felt like needed to be spoken about, because that was who I've always been. I just want to talk about, I just want to talk about the things that are happening. Like, let's talk about the shit that shouldn't be happening. Let's talk about it. Let's put it on the table and let's discuss why is this stuff happening. And when I wanted to do that, I was told I couldn't, by my older siblings or by older people, adults in my life, in my family, telling me, no, you don't stir up shit. Just keep quiet, keep the peace. Don't say nothing. And that was just that, all of that, keeping quiet, it just kept telling me, what you have to say doesn't fucking matter. Just keep your mouth shut and just be obedient. Be this good, obedient little girl that doesn't say nothing, that just goes along and just lets things be, because nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
And anything outside of that created so much shame for the family. Anything out of those, that perimeter you were given of what a good girl was, if you stepped out of it, forget it. There was shame. There was a lot of,
how could you?
Yeah, like, don't you know what people are going to say about us because of what you did? There was just a lot of shame inflicted into, at least that's how I feel.
Whether you did say it or you did do it, you were shamed for it. But then if you didn't do it, but these thoughts were in your head, you felt shame for even thinking that, because it's, I feel like for me, I was even, why am I having these thoughts? Like, why am I so angry? Why do I keep raging like this? Why do I keep doing this? Like, or why I want to say this so bad, but I would look around and like, why is nobody saying anything? Like, so I felt shame, even though if I did it or didn't do it, I was still feeling all these emotions.
Yeah, and at such a young age, right? At such a young age, shame became like a primary emotion. So that, and not only did it become a primary emotion we felt, but we continued to carry it into our adulthood, right? So, which is what's painful, because I also think that with this good girl identity, like for me, that I adopted growing up, everything I did was just to become a good girl, just to prove that I am good. I am good enough. I am good. I am behaving. I am obedient, right? So I was always striving for perfection, and I carried, like I said, so much shame that it was just very heavy when I didn't meet the expectations of the family and even of my own self that I had started putting on myself, right? So, yeah, like there's also another side of that, right? The cost of being a good girl. What do you feel like for you has been the cost of being a good girl?
For sure, I feel that because I was taught really early on that being that quote unquote good girl or that obedient child or obedient girl, I think for me, mainly it meant to keep silent. That whatever needed, wanted, or whatever, it just didn't matter. So I think for me, it just that silence of having to not say anything, it definitely followed me into my teens, into my young adulthood, into my adulthood. To actually till this day, I still see how it affects me. Right? I mean, I can't even say it still doesn't. It does, because it turned me into not wanting any type of attention. Even when I achieved something great, even when there's something that I should have been proud of, even if there's something that, anything that had to do with calling my name or me being proud of myself, I felt nothing. Like I didn't want any of it, and but I felt nothing, right? At work, if I would get promotions, if I do something great, that I should have been proud of, I remember I would email my boss and be like, please do not mention me, do not mention my name, do not say nothing, don't even. And he'd be like, Lou, but this is like a huge thing. Like, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, nothing. No one needs to know. People already know, but no one needs to, who cares? And he'd be like, oh, you're just, and I'm like, I've always been that way. I just never want to make a big deal about it. And I feel like imposter syndrome was huge. I think imposter syndrome crept in because of that, because I always was questioning whether I was like, do I really know what I still, to right now, it's still affecting me. It still affects, imposter syndrome still affects me. I feel like nothing that I do is worth celebrating because I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. What do you mean? Like, this is my job, or this is me being a mom. This is me being like, there's nothing that I can do that I can feel like extremely proud of, right? I'm still working through that. So I think throughout my life, I kept myself small. I've struggled to say no to people. I feel guilty I struggle to say no to people. And if I do set boundaries, I'm like dying in guilt. I feel terrible for it, right? I feel guilty for wanting to rest. I feel guilty for wanting to take breaks. I'm always trying to be good and push myself. Just right now, like literally, like we just had a conversation about me in this new job, and I feel like, why am I every single second of the job that I'm here? Why am I not? I should be super stressed out and busy and doing something, and I go home and I'm questioning, like, am I even doing it right? I'm probably messing this up already. Like, and I still struggle for me. All these things is still affecting me. This is how it's still costing me. And like working on this episode, I realize how I'm still struggling with these things.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it was shining light for me too. When I was writing stuff, I was like, okay, I've overcame that, but then, oh God, this is still playing, right? Like for me, it was definitely, the cost of it is, for me, one of the things was always striving for quote unquote perfection, which is an illusion in itself, right? Also, like at a young age, I noticed when I was like preparing for the podcast that I had to choose at a very young age to either be a good girl or be a child, right? In that, when I seen that, it was really painful to see that, because here is this child at a very young age, a little girl who had to choose at a certain point. Do I continue to be a little girl and a child, or do I go into an identity of the good girl, right? And because the rewards were bigger, quote unquote, bigger on the good girl, I adopted the good girl. I went on with that because if I was good, I received more praise. I was given more love, even though it was distorted. I was given more attention that I was probably just seeking for. So then I just went along with this identity of the good girl, right? But when I made that decision, even though it wasn't consciously, it was subconsciously, I chose to bury my inner child because we couldn't both exist at the same time. One of us had to run the show. And the one that began running the show was the Good Girl program to survive, right? To like I said, to receive emotional crumbs from others so that I can feel some type of praise, I guess, along. And I think that when I seen that information, it was sad. I deeply felt my inner child's pain. And I seen how she's been just waiting there to be reclaimed, right? And I seen all that through getting prepared for the podcast, and it was painful. I also ran into this meme a couple of days ago on Instagram, and it was a parrot in a cage, right? And then there was a crow on the other side of the cage, and the crow is free, but the parrot's in a cage. And the crow's asking the parrot, "Why are you in a cage?" And the parrot says, "Because I talk," right? So it made me think of like how I created my own cage without even noticing at such a young age, just to continue this program, just to continue to be on this Good Girl program, right? But the beauty of it all is that, okay, we see it and we can come out of that cage now, right? We don't have to stay in that cage that was built for us or that we built ourselves through this programming of the Good Girl, right? Now we get to open the door ourselves and free ourselves. But of course, arriving to the awareness that we're still there, that's painful. And then also seeing that our inner child was abandoned and buried so that I could continue surviving on this identity, it was also very painful to see that.
Well, yeah, because I think for me, if I go back and I try and, like, when I was talking a few during some of the episodes that I was saying that it took me a while for me to figure out who I was or who I was, like, you know, after trying to remove all these layers of who I thought I was, and it's following along with the program, right? And then I finally have this awareness, so I can see now and I can start removing layers and peeling back. But then I'm like, well, then who am I? But it's like, well, we left her behind a long fucking time ago. So now we have to go back and bring her back and like have to get to know her all over again and have to be like, for me, it's really hard to go back and get a lot of details from my childhood. It's really hard for me to remember things. It's really hard for me to remember a lot of things from my childhood, but so it's hard for me to go back and bring her back and say, who are we? Like, what did we want? Like, what did we like to do as kids? It's very vague. So having to, like you're saying right now, like we had to bury her so we can follow this program. But then now that we were getting rid of it, it's like, well, let's go get her. But at least for me, it was like, well, shit, now I need to get to know you, you know? Because again, when I started like all this on my self-awareness journey, I realized that I didn't know who I was, and I had to go way back and start to bring all that back with me. And it's still, you know, seeing all of this and going through all of this, I realized like, damn, there's still a lot of it that's still affecting me now. And I'm 41 and I'm still being affected by so much of it. But yeah, I think that's the beauty in it. because once you can see the things that we are programmed to do and why we're doing it, it's so much easier to like not undo, but just because we can't really undo what was done, but we can start fresh, you know?
We can rewrite the story. We can begin a new chapter, right? There's a huge cost of us continuing this program for women. If you become aware of the program and you continue to choose to be on it, the cost of us staying there is just huge, right? There's the emotional cost of that, at least for me, was anger, shame, and loss of authenticity. The physical cost was burnout, chronic stress, self-sacrifice, and self-betrayal. The relationship cost was accepting crumbs in every area in my life, unhealthy relationships where I played the good girl instead of being my authentic self, just to keep that identity going. And that happened in love, with family, at work, with friends, and just in it was leaking into every single area of my life and leaving behind like my authentic self. And I wasn't even aware that I had an authentic self. Exactly. It was like, I believe that the identity of the good girl was me, but it isn't. It's just an identity that I adopted because it was passed down to me, and then, it goes on and on, right? And there's just extreme confusion on who I was for a very, very long time. And it's still, till this day, I'm still working through the layers of it, because it's layer after layer after layer, right? And then just the exhaustion of continuing to carry that identity of the good girl, not only from childhood, but now into adulthood, into motherhood, into the wife role, like all leaking into that role in adulthood. It was just very, very exhausting. I mean, extremely heavy, extremely. I think that's one of the reasons why I always felt exhausted. Always, no matter what I did, no matter how much sleep I had, I was always exhausted. And it was because of the emotional weight that I was carrying every single day with me. And that just created so much exhaustion for me, right?
It was physically affecting you.
Big time. And I mean, now, of course, I'm still working through it, because now even doing this episode, I'm like, okay, I see certain areas where it's still playing. And, but yeah, this program, it's so important that we shine light on it, because not only does it affect us, but it begins to get passed down, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have daughters, right? So now it's not only about us, right? And in my case, now I have a granddaughter. So now it's like not just my daughters, now it's my granddaughters, right? So all this information it all began getting passed down from generation to generation, right? It was the blueprint our mothers learned, and it was passed down to the daughter, and then in most often than not, it was an unconscious thing. It's not like they said, "Oh, this is a program I'm gonna give my daughter." It's just something that seemed normal, that was taught to our mothers and then passed on to us unconsciously, right? And then, like I said at the beginning, this program is just so subtle in many ways. It's so quiet. It doesn't make that much noise. And that just tells me how much I've normalized that program. It's why when I was like doing the work, I was getting prepared for this, I was like, this program's so quiet. And then I'm like, well, it can only mean one thing. I've normalized a lot of this stuff. It's why it doesn't feel like noise, right? And now the issue is, and now we're telling our daughters or expecting them to obey like we did and to follow the same rules that we once did. And we are parenting from this place if we're not conscious, all over again.
Oh yeah, for sure. 1,000%. I catch myself. I catch myself in moments where I have said to my youngest one, like, that's not a reason to cry, you know, or it's not such a big deal. Like, you don't need to be crying for that, you know. And then I immediately after I say it, I'm like, fuck, you know, like I shouldn't tell her that. I've caught myself telling my middle one, like, don't be questioning me. Don't question me. I'm your mom. Like, don't question why I do what I do. And then recently she sent me, she was not talking back, but we're having a conversation and it was getting a little heated, and everything she was saying, while she was saying it, I was saying in my head, this little witch, man, she's hitting me right where it hurts. You know, but I was getting pissed, so I kept telling her, shut your mouth, you don't question me, I'm the mom, I'm your mom, like, I make the decisions, don't worry about why I make decisions or how I make decisions or how I'm raising you guys, don't worry about it, just do what I'm not telling you. As I'm saying it, I'm highly regretting it. There's like my voice is telling me, don't say that to her, you know, you're just pissed because she's actually telling you something that she is questioning. She has the right to question you because now you're questioning yourself, you know. And all that whole night, I was so uncomfortable, so unsettled. I just felt like waking her up and being like, you're absolutely right, you know, like, you are absolutely right. I love that my daughter has that awareness that she can see these things and that she's not afraid to say them. I don't want to be the person that tells her to stop talking, you know, because why? She hurt my ego, like, really, you know. But the whole night I was like, it's the moment she came out of her mouth, I was like, damn her, you know. I was like, she's hitting me right where it hurts. It's like affecting my ego, my, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, my immediate response was like, don't you dare question me, you know. And so it's things like that. And so it's those type of scripts that I don't want. For me, I think being the good girl, for me, it was mainly like, it wasn't a lot about like, oh, be polite, be respectful, whatever. But for us, or, you know, or don't dress this way, or it was more like, just stay quiet, just keep your mouth shut. That affected me in so many ways. And so it caused so much pain and trauma for me because I couldn't speak on so many levels for so many things, for so much trauma that happened to me. And I mean, I had a conversation with you. We're sitting here in the sofa and I was telling you about so many things that had happened to me that I just kept to myself, you know, because I'm like, again, why do I need to make a big deal about it? Like, who cares? It's life. This will happen. So I feel that the Good Girl Thing program, for me, the way it affected me the most was I lost my voice. Like, and it just felt like nothing that happens to me matters. And I feel that that's kind of the same way that I'm passing it on to my children, but I'm very aware of it. And that's a cycle that I want to break, because I want them to know that their voice matters. I want them to speak to me about everything and anything. And even if it's challenging my thinking, and even if it hurts my ego, I'm not going to I don't want to continue to tell my kids to shut up just because it hurts my ego, you know? And I don't ever want them to keep their mouths shut just because they're going to hurt somebody's ego. You know, hurting someone's feelings or being mean, that's one thing, right? Like being bullied or whatever, that's one thing. But saying what's right or not saying it just because you're afraid that it's going to affect someone's ego, like I want them to speak it. So that's something that I still catch myself. I don't want to silence my children, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a big one, because how often didn't we have to silence our own voice? And not only silence it, right? It's like we were protecting other people's feelings so we wouldn't speak our truth just because that was the right, quote unquote, good thing to do, right?
You're always trying to spare everybody else, but like you. Screw you. Yeah.
And in the middle, you just sacrifice you betray yourself. It's okay if you do that. That was the blueprint that was given to you. It's okay if you sacrifice. It's okay if you don't use your voice, but don't do it to anybody else, right? And it's almost, I see this program almost like a script, kind of like a role, like, you know, that when the actors are given, here's your role, this is where you're going to play in the movie. It was handed to us just like a role, except we never stopped playing it. And then not only did we never stop playing it, then we believe that that's who we are, right? Which that has huge consequences in every area of our life when we are not aware that it's just a script, an old script. And the biggest question to ask ourselves is, who benefits from that? Think about it. Who benefits from women following a script? It's not you. Definitely. It's not your family, right? So that is one of the biggest questions that I asked myself. And yeah, it's just, it's a program that is not spoken about enough. It's a program that needs to be spoken about louder and louder, because this is how we stop these programs from continuing to gain more energy and then continue to be passed down, right? And then I also wanted to touch a little bit on how this good girl identity has affected us as adults, how it, you know, obviously we carried it, and how as adults it leaked into our adulthood.
Yeah. That's how I'm saying, to me, I still feel that it's definitely been, I still feel that I need to, I guess it's being perfect. I just want everyone to either, I don't know if it's perfectionism, or am I doing it right? Or is this enough? Is this good enough? Can I have tried better? Can I have tried more? Like, to me, it's always questioning myself of who I am. I feel right now I'm really, now that I'm more aware, I feel like now I'm trying to really come back and center myself and be like, but what does Lou want? You know, what does Lou want to do and or say? And I still struggle with setting boundaries. I still struggle with saying no. I'm still the person that people can come to me even if I'm exhausted and drained emotionally and I just need to take a break. I feel super guilty telling people, like, I just need a moment, like, please, you know. I just caught myself yesterday telling my husband, I need to rent my own apartment. Like, I need a space so I can just be me, because my brother was having the same conversation, and I was like, see, I was telling him, we need a space. Like, I just want to I love myself, like my own space. I need like my solo moments, and, you know, and he's just looking at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, but I feel guilty saying, dude, just let me be for 20-30 minutes. Like, give me an hour of just let me, you know, be. And I feel guilty asking for that. I feel like I shouldn't be saying that. I should be available for him, for my kids, for whoever's calling me, for whoever needs me, for my clients. Now I'm like, I threw work in the mix. So I'm like asking myself all the time, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Am I, you know? And these thoughts stay in my head and they play over and over and over. And I still struggle with that. So I have to like really center myself and be like, Lou, like, what is it that you want? Or like, you know, these are just I'm able to like talk myself off the ledge now. But that was not an easy, that was not an easy road for me to figure out. I still struggle with so many of these things that I've spoken about. They creep in, and sometimes when I'm already spiraling, it's easier. It's like it attracts more. So then when I'm spiraling, you know, it's everything. But it affects me. It still affects me, but I'm just thankful that I'm more aware of it now. Yeah. That I can just be like, hey, you know what? It's not me, you know, it's not me. It's not who I am. And I feel like I'm little by little starting to get to know who I am, what I want, and I'm inviting her over more often to my like be present here with me. And but it's not easy. And again, I still trip. I'd have these moments where I see myself again, like I said, with my kids, and I'm just like, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to give them their space. I want them to speak and say whatever the hell they want to say. So yeah, for me, that's how it's still showing up, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like I can relate to a lot of that. I mean, a few things that I feel like in my life in this specific moment is showing up is just always, like you said, reaching for that quote unquote perfect version of us, like always chasing the best version of ourselves, always like, is this enough? Oh, no, I need more. Is this enough? I feel like for me it's showing up very much there. And also questioning, like, should I be this way, or should I act that way? Or like, it's always playing in the back end of my mind, right? Of like how I'm acting, how I'm showing up, how I'm speaking, how I'm treating others, am I kind enough? Like, it's just constantly this program running in the back end, where sometimes when that voice overpowers like my true self, it just becomes unbearable. And like you said, I'll spiral. I'll myself will spiral because I feel crazy. I feel like, oh my God, like this is so much pressure that I'm feeling in my head in this moment, that I have to be this and that I have to be that. And that if I don't meet those expectations that I put in my mind, I failed. I'm not good enough, right? And I feel like for sure in parenting also, I mean, in so many ways, I continue to pass that down, because it's not even about what I am telling my daughters, is what I'm embodying that they're learning, right? Because that's what they take with them, how I move, what I embody, right? So I feel like that's why this program is so important, that we learn about it, that we see where we're at, and that we are aware that it's a software that was passed down, and that we don't have to continue with this software all of our life, right?
Yep.
And I feel like, I mean, I know that there's so many areas we can touch on that, but on this first, it is a 2-part episode. So on this first one, we wanted to touch basically on the foundations, where it came from, what it is, what we have gone through ourselves because of this program.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where I feel like everything we unpacked today, it's just how this Good Girl program, like Divi says, how it shaped us, how it's still showing up in our our today life, right? And how we're learning to unlearn it, and like the awareness that you mentioned, so we can also raise our next generation to be more free, to be more use their voice, to not be quiet. So I think that for me is everything. Some people want girls that are not loud, that are polite, they dress proper, whatever proper means, not too emotional, don't get too much attention, don't, and it's like, because why? Like what, what does a good girl, find yourself a good girl. What is that? So it's that's the pattern that we are fighting. So, but hey, we're breaking those. I mean, we're trying at least.
Yeah, for sure. We're doing the work, and it's why we share it with our listeners, so that just the way we became aware of it, hopefully something lands for someone out there, right? And that you are brave enough to question, that you know that there is a way to reclaim your power in this. And it starts by simply being aware, like studying the program, right? And
and are you being like your authentic self? Is it really what you want? Is it really what you want to do? Is it really what that you don't want to share that? But why don't you want to share it? Why don't you want to voice your opinion? Like, it's all of those things, question why? What, if that's a decision you're making, what's behind it? What's the reasoning? Is it because it truly naturally comes from your heart, or what somebody else thinks you should be doing? It's those type of things.
100%. And I feel like for this part 1, we hope that you guys took a thing or two. On the part 2, we will be back on the awakening, right? What happens when we begin awakening in this programming and raising our daughters beyond the good girl program as well, our children in general, right? Because there's also such thing as the good boy. I'm pretty sure, right? That's a whole nother conversation as well. But yeah, thank you for staying till the end of this episode. We hope you took a thing or two. And as always, you know where to find us at Unlocking Our Code Podcast. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.